About a week or so ago, I was intensely deciding which games to focus on as the ones that captured my attention the most in 2014. There were quite a few of them, honestly. However, due to time limitations, I have decided to pinpoint only those who I deem most worthy. Therefore, without any further ado, I present to you my mostly anticipated game of 2014. It all began in 1999. With the release of an adventure game, The Longest Journey, by a company called Funcom, a then relatively unknown developer from Norway. The game raked in heaps of rewards, good critics as well as user reviews, telling an otherworldly story in a beautifully executed setting, having a strong female protagonist, complex and branching plot among many other great features. The game was so popular that the players demanded a sequel, as the game left things somewhat unfinished. Although early 2000s proved to be a difficult ground to market an adventure game, Funcom held The Longest Journey as an important universe they've created and were not about to let it go away. 2006 saw us receiving Dreamfall The Longest Journey, a game set in the future of the original, telling a story different than that of the original game, and rather than directly continuing April Ryan's story, we had a different story with a different main protagonist. The developers moved from 2D side-scrolling game to a fully fledged 3D adventure, featuring stellar visuals for the time. The mechanical components, when compared to the first game however, were simplified. The puzzles encountered in the world, a vital part of the first title, had become more of a side theme, a tool to get from point A to point B in the new game compared to a means of telling a story in the first one. Nonetheless, the game was generally praised and gamers soon became hungry for more, especially with a few major cliffhangers left wide open. Sometime in early 2014, I read an article saying that finally, after long years of speculation, waiting and seemingly endless postponement, Ragnar Tornquist, a game designer at Funcom, had apparently gone to create his own developer studio, Red Thread Games, specifically to continue on the development of Longest Journey games. The company successfully crowdfunded Dreamfall Chapters, a direct successor to Dreamfall The Longest Journey, continuing on Zoe Castillo's story. An interesting decision was made by the studios to move forward with the story in short episodes, as we've seen Telltale Games do a good few times with great success, in order to reduce the wait time for the fans. Now, this has been a long introduction with a lot of background into this game. However, I feel I need to share this as to translate why it's been my most anticipated game of the year better. The depth of story, genuine compassion and connection I felt with the game's main characters throughout both earlier titles left me perplexed, and the diversity and complexity of the game world had left me breathless. Put it simply, it was an astonishing universe that was created. Not to mention strong and most importantly relevant story, not one of fairy tales, but of human strife for freedom, as well as lust of greed and power and control, and everyone who is caught in between. Talking specifically about Book 1, Dreamfall Chapters, the intro had me already hooked. The game knows its roots, it knows what great games paved the path for its existence, and immediately pays tribute. That is a very moving touch. Secondly, one of the biggest question marks from Dreamfall Longest Journey, without any major spoilers, I will just say that is immediately cleared up. Or well, cleared up in a way, because it immediately raises a dozen new question marks. Which is great, because it gives a certain closure to various questions and at the same time create, or renews in my case, connection with the main character so that we would be genuinely interested in the story and the events that will take place later. Looking from purely technical side, the game was not in perfect condition at release. Performance optimization was somewhat lacking, as sudden frame drops took place quite regularly, as well as a few crashes here and there. Full extent of technical issues, if I'm absolutely honest, is something I cannot relay unbiasedly, because frankly I had to try and think really hard to remember any of them. That's how hyped and hooked I was by that game. What I can say, however, is that Red Thread Games looked into these issues quite promptly and addressed them exactly and precisely. And during my second playthrough, which took roughly 2 weeks after the release when I did my first playthrough, the game did feel much smoothed out and well looked after. I have been waiting for this game for nearly 8 years. That is as long a wait as anyone is willing to give, but I must say, to me, it was worth it. The only complaint, even if you can call it a complaint, is that the developer has not, as of today, 2 months after release of the initial episode, disclosed even an ETA for the arrival of Book 2. Mind you, it could very well be the case that when they finally announce it, it will only be mere weeks, not months, before the release. And I guess, it's just me being afraid of another endless waiting. However, as of now, I am pretty good hope that 2015 will see not only Book 2, but Book 3 coming out our way as well. And as long as Red Thread Games maintain the high standards they've set up for themselves, I do believe that Dreamfall Chapters is sure to go far and beyond. And if it's not clear enough already, I'll say this one last time. This game has gone for me in 2014.